Okay, welcome. Today we're going to do a video lesson on simplifying radical expressions using rational exponents. So go ahead and take out your notes. Remember, if the video sound quality is too low, that you can turn the volume up on your Chromebooks. Also, if I'm moving too fast, you can pause it and you can rewind it or back it up and re-listen to concepts again. And remember to take down any questions you might have as we get going. So let's go ahead and begin. Okay, our first example in simplifying is 2 to the 5/2 power. 2 to the 5/2 power. And we're going to simplify this. Now, yesterday, a lot got thrown at you, and the problems were very long. So today, we're going to look at pieces of them, and hopefully we can put it together and make the homework seem a little bit easier. So our first step in simplifying is we're going to write the exponent as a mixed number. So 5/2, or 5 divided by 2, is 2.5. Our next step is to split up the whole number part of the exponent from the fractionals part of the exponent. We're going to separate these in hopes to rewrite them separately as radicals. Okay, by using the product property of exponents, we can rewrite this into two terms. So think of the product property backwards. So this would be 2 squared times 2 to the 1/2 power. Okay, moving on. We're doing this in order to rewrite them in radical form. We know that 2 squared is simply just 4. And if we rewrite 2 to the 1/2 power back into radical form, where 2 is 2, the denominator, is our index to our radical, we get this. So this simplifies out to 4 square roots of 2. Now look over the process, make sure you understand it, because this is the second part to most of our simplification problems. Let's try another one. Let's simplify 3 to the 7/3 power. Okay, this one I want you to do as I kind of guide you through the steps. So go ahead and write down 3 to the 7/3 power. And the first thing I would like you to do is rewrite the exponent to a mixed number. So go ahead and do that right now. Rewrite the exponent to a mixed number. And if you have to, remember, pause the video. Okay, 7 divided by 3, that's one we should be able to do in our heads. And you should have gotten 2 to the 1/3 power. 2 to the 1/3 power. So this is now 3 to the 3 to the power of 2 to the 1/3. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is separate the whole number from the fractional exponent. And remember, if you need more time, to pause the video. Okay, separating 2 from 1/3 is simply 3 to the power of the separation, 2 plus 1/3. Okay, the following step I want you to do is rewrite into two terms using the product property of exponents. So we're going to rewrite this thing into two terms. We're currently in 1. I want to see 2. So remember, the product property is bases are the same and we're multiplying. So my base is 3. I'm going to have two 3's. We're adding the exponent, so one exponent will be 3 squared, the other be 1/3. And we should get 3 squared times 3 to the 1/3 power. So we rewrote the exponent as a mixed number. We separated the whole part from the fraction part in order to rewrite into two terms. And from here, we can rewrite in radical form. So go ahead and do that right now. Okay, 3 squared we know is 9. And remember, the denominator is the index, so this is the cube root of 3. We have now simplified our expression to 9 square roots of 3. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one, I wanted you to try, and apparently my solution is showing, so I'll take that away very quickly. I'd like you to pause it. Don't look at the solution yet. I'm going to put it back up. Go ahead and pause it and work this problem out. Let's see if we can get this, because remember, this is the second part of all the problems we'll be simplifying, which you're going to have to do. So let's see if we can get this. So go ahead and pause right now and turn it on when you're done. Okay, so hopefully you're checking your solution at this point. You've wrote the exponent as a mixed number. You've separated. Use the product property to write into two terms. And you rewrote as a radical. You should have gotten 11 times the 8th root of 11. If you have any questions on this section, go ahead and jot them down. We're going to move on to the next step. It's a progression. So our next step is to actually simplify a radical. So if we start out with the square root of 27, so go ahead and write that down, square root of 27. The first thing we want to do is rewrite it in exponential form. We're using rational exponents to solve radicals, so that's logically our first step. Okay, as we simplify, our next step is to take the 27 and try to rewrite it to an equivalent, means the same, they're equal, smaller base to a power. We can take 27 and rewrite that to 3 cubed. Now, once we've done that, we can use the power property and multiply the exponents. So this becomes 3 to the power of 3 times 1/2, or 3 halves. Now this looks like the previous examples, in which we're going to do the same steps. So if the problem seems really long, just think about it. We're doing the previous steps. We're like combining the two. So the first thing we did is rewrite in exponential form. Then we took the base and rewrote it into equivalent smaller base to a power. Product property, multiplied the exponents. Okay, now we're going to simplify by rewrite the improper fraction to a mixed number. Okay, using the previous examples, our next step is to split them up. Again, if I'm moving fast, remember to pause. So that's 3 to the first plus 3 to the power of 1 plus 1/2. Remember, they're equivalent. Now we're going to separate them using the product property and rewrite as radicals. So there's our separation, 3 to the first, 3 to the 1/2. And rewrite as a radical. Remember, 1/2 is the index, the denominator is the index. That's 3 square roots of 3. Let's go ahead and get your notes caught up. We're going to do another example. Okay, this one we're going to work together. So this is our guided practice problem. Let's look at the square root of 8x cubed. Let's go ahead and write that down. Again, I will guide you with the steps. You try to work them out, and then we'll check and see how well you did. Okay, step number 1, rewrite it in exponential form. So what is the square root of 8x cubed in exponential form? Okay, here we go. Remember, the common mistake is to forget the parentheses. We have a coefficient and a variable. We have to count them together, so both of them are to the 1/2 power. You got to have the parentheses. Our next step is to raise the whole expression, that means everything inside, to the 1/2 power. So go ahead and write that. Raise everything inside to the 1/2 power. We've been using the term distribute the 1/2. Okay, we distribute the 1/2, so we have 8 to the 1/2, x cubed to the 1/2. Okay, again, if you need to pause, go ahead and pause it and get caught back up. Our next step is to rewrite 8 to the smallest equivalent base to a power. So as we do that, or go ahead and do that, okay, it looks like it's not popping up, so I'm going to put it in there by hand. Here we go. We're going to rewrite 8 to the smallest equivalent base. That would be 2 cubed. I appreciate you guys bearing with me. Making videos is very tough sometimes. There we go. So we have 2 cubed all to the 1/2 power. And the x cubed we're just going to leave like it is until the next step. There we go. Okay, so we rewrote 8 to the smallest equivalent base of power, which is 2 cubed. Okay, our next step is power properties, simplify. So 3 times 1/2 is 3/2. X cubed times 1/2 is x to the 3/2. Now this problem seems a little bit longer because we are actually working a number and a variable. In the previous problems, we were just doing a number, a single object. Okay, moving on, we're going to do the exact same thing you've done in the previous examples. We're going to simplify these exponents. In other words, rewrite as improper fractions, or rewrite our improper fractions as mixed numbers. And we're going to separate the whole number from the fractional exponent. So let's do that now. Let's rewrite these as mixed numbers. Okay, you should have gotten 2 to the 1 and 1/2 power, and x to the 1 and 1/2 power. Now we're going to do our separation. So we have to separate each one. So that's 2 to the 1 plus 1/2, and x to the 1 plus 1/2. And again, if I'm moving too fast, go ahead and pause it after each step, write it, and then turn the video back on. Okay, so this is the step we learned initially. We're going to rewrite these in 2 terms using the product property and rewrite in radical form. Okay, at this point, you're rewriting the 2 terms using the product property. So split the 2 up, make it into 2 terms. Split the x up, make it into 2 terms using the product property. Okay, you should have gotten 2 to the first power times 2 to the 1/2 power times x to the first power times x to the 1/2 power. As we rewrite these in radical form, at this point you're writing in radical form. Okay, you should have gotten 2 to the square root of 2 power, remember denominator is the index, times x to the square root of x, which if we simplify even further, hard word to say, simplify even further, we take the coefficients out in front, the 2 and x, we put them in front of one of the radicals, and everything underneath the other 2 radicals go radical. Okay, I'd like you to try one on your own. Let's get this out of the way. So go ahead and pause the video. Try to simplify 3 or the third root of 32x to the fourth. A little bigger numbers. Cube root, we were dealing with square roots. Follow the same pattern we did on the previous example. When you're done, I will turn the video back on and you will see the answer. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the answer. Okay, the answer is rather long. Again, it looks like a lot of work, but remember you're doing 2 different things and we're showing step by step. So check each and every step. Make sure you understand or matches yours. If you have any questions on where you might have gone wrong or you're not sure how I did something, make sure you jot those down. Okay, I'm going to slowly move it down. Remember, you can rewind the video. And these are the same steps we did in the last example. Okay, there it is. Again, make sure you jot down any questions, have them ready. I have a few practice problems I'd like you to try in the next slide, and I will print those out and put them on the calendar. Hopefully this helps you with your homework. And okay, so good luck with your homework, and I will see you guys tomorrow.